Humans of the cardboard, welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today we're doing another deck profile, and this time we are looking at Rikka. This is pure Rikka, no Sun Avalon or anything. I might mess around with a build like that down the line because I do think the new Rikka monster that just came out in Power the Elements is absolutely crazy and could potentially be a really nice like insulator to interruptions, as well as just a potential end board piece for the Sun Avalon strategy, but we'll talk about that on a later day. Today, pure Rikka, guys. Do not sleep on this deck. I know that Exit Sisters are supposed to be the new up-and-coming, like, high-end rogue deck that's going to take down the metagame, but I do not want anybody to sleep on Rikka. I think this is, like, the unsung, like, really solid deck out of this set. It's rogue for sure. It's definitely rogue, but man, this deck's tools are crazy. So please do not sleep on it. We're going to be going over all the reasons why today. Now remember, new format to the deck profiles. We're going to do a quick deck list so everybody can just see what I'm playing all at once, all at one time. Secondly, we're going to do an explanations for all the card choices. Thirdly, we're going to hit up a quick combo tutorial, basic combo that'll give you a good place to start as you take on the deck. And then lastly, we'll do a test hand at the end and mess around with that to show you what a hand would and probably should look like and how to play it out. So yeah, let's get into this thing. I guess before that, real quick, just subscribe to the channel if you have not yet and you want to see more stuff from me down the line. And I don't know, follow me on Twitter. Yeah, let's get into it. Come on. All right, guys, for section one of this video, let's run through our list of cards here, our deck list here. Starting off here, of course, triple copies of Rikka Petal, best starter in the deck. 2 more copies of Lone Fire Blossom because this gets us to Rikka Petal. Next up, we play 3 of the new card, triple Rikka Princess, crazy extender, crazy insulator to interruptions, and also just an awesome interruption in and of herself. 1 copy of Primula because she pairs very nicely with the new girl. It's always good when they make support that ends up like making older cards in the deck better. Mudon, really good, probably the overall best extender in the deck. This card's awesome. It is an extender that also Rhoda's, or Stratos' I guess. And then finishing up with the high level ones, 1 Snowdrop and 1 Hellebore. Kind of mandatory. Got to play the Snowdrop. Hellebore can go in and out, but that depends. We'll talk more about that later. Moving into the hand traps, nothing too crazy for the monsters. Triple Ash, it's Ash, it hits everything. You know, if you're playing hand traps, you're probably playing Ash. And triple Gamma, kind of a little bit divisive here. Not everybody's going to agree on the Gamma in here, but again, we'll talk about that a little later on why I'm messing around with that in here. Moving to the spells, triple Rikka Glamour, crazy search card, maybe the best card in the deck overall. Double Konkon, this may be also a little divisive ratio, we'll talk about that later on, but insane new card. The 2 new cards are so good. Into the pot, we got triple Prosperity, best pot in this deck. There, 1 copy of 1 for 1. This is an additional card that can get you to Petal if you don't have a starter. And then 1 Cosmic Cyclone and 1 called, for our quick plays. And finishing up the spells. For the traps, we're on 2 copies of Rikka Sheet and 1 Tranquility. A little bit higher than some people are willing to play, but we'll talk about that. Triple copies of Imperm. That's our 3rd hand trap for 9 total. And then 2 copies of Rivalry of Warlord. I just think this card is so crazy. I'm pretty much dropping this in every control deck I have right now, if it can afford to play it. It's too good. So that's for the main. 40 in the main, trying to keep consistency there, trying to see starters to get us to our plays. Moving on to our extra deck, double copies of Rikka Strana. This card is so much better now because of the new cards. 2 copies of Teardrop. Sorry I have proxies on this. I waited way too long to buy this. Now I just need to get it. It's really expensive, but I'm probably just gonna have to bite the bullet. I'll show you a picture here. So yeah, 2 of her. 2 copies of Secret Tree Beast Hyperiton. This could also be 1, and I probably want to play an Alsay. It's another card I don't have because I actually sold my copy, but it's a pretty cool removal card. Not fully necessary, but I feel like it could come up in scenarios. 1 Kanzashi because she can be pretty good at times, and then 1 Zeus. Doesn't come up all the time, but he can when you don't lock yourself into plants. 1 copy of Sun Avalon Dryas. Pretty interesting card here, but pretty cool. At the end of the day, just clears a plant out of your zones. These are 2 copies of Sylvan Dance Peony. Really cool card. Again, throw up a picture for that. Sorry I don't have it. It's from like the last set. Pretty cool plant. It can actually come up in this deck more than I'd like it to sometimes, but like when it does, it can be potentially clutch. 1 Aromaseraphy Jazz and 1 Bengalancer. If you can make Bengalancer, it's pretty funny. Usually you don't put that many monsters on the field, but if you do, it works. And then 2 Gamma targets to be able to synchro into. Let's jump into the explanation portion of this video. Starting off with the starters, we're going to go by rolls here for the cards. Triple copies of Petal, 2 copies of Lone Fire Blossom, triple Glamour, the triple pot, and then the 1 for 1. Yeah, I think most of this is pretty self-explanatory. These are your best normal summons. You play Lone Fire because it's just more copies of Petal. I know it's super frail, but I think you have to play it because you're just not going to see a starter often enough if you don't. But the one thing to say about Petal is this. This card used to be like Alistair. 1 card equaled 1 interruption and 1 follow-up. Now this card is twice as strong. It's literally worth 2 follow-ups and 2 negations, or 2 interruptions. Just by itself, it's insane. Glamour, absolutely crazy card. We are using that tribute effect all the time, especially if Cone's up to clear our opponent's monsters. That's so crazy. Pot, I don't really need to explain. It's digging for starters, digging for whatever you need, and then 1 for 1. Definitely the most cuttable out of this lineup for sure, but I feel like it could save your Heine, and I'd rather play like a 1 for 1 instead of like a 3rd Lone Fire if I'm trying to hit like a 12 number starter, level. So we'll take that. That's it for the starters, though. Moving into the extenders, triple copies of Rikka Princess, 1 copy of Primula, the Rikka Fairy, Mudan, the Rikka Fairy herself, she's like crazy, then 1 Snowdrop, and 2 copies of Rikka Con. Really good here, I guess, started going down the line. Princess is insane. It's one of the new cards. The fact that it's like a negate, so it can just literally be a hand trap from hand going second, even better, to help you play. But also just an insane extender that needs like no requirements on field, so it can just jump out. That actually saved me in a duel today as I was testing against Tyr. Really, really good, which by the way is like not a bad matchup at all. You got to play the Primula, just because it pairs with the Princess. So what you'll do is you'll use Glamour, tributing a monster to search 2 level 4s. You'll grab both of these, Primula will summon, then you summon Princess, make Strenna, and then add a card back, and then eventually end up tributing Strenna to get another boss monster and interruption out. It's pretty solid. Other than that, like, Primula's fine. I kind of wish we had 1 other really good level 4 extender, but I'm not complaining. Mudan, insanely crazy. The fact she's an extender that then searches you a spell or trap is so good because of how much value you get off of the spell traps in this deck. Very much a 3 of to me for the grind, but also if a lot of people are going to hand trap your normal summons, being able to just drop this right after that, really good. Snowdrop, you got to play her. She's a phenomenal extender. And then Con. This card is crazy. It may be debatable to play this card at 2 or 3. I've seen people play this at 3 with terraforming. Like, just go all in on it. I get it. It's really nice, especially if people are going to interrupt your play line, to just also have this and drop it, because it's the most like pressuring card you play in your deck to like your opponent. But that being said, it kind of reminds me of Marincess Dive in how like you get it so freely throughout your combo that like opening it doesn't really change much for you in terms of like what you're doing. And so at the end of the day, I'm just kind of okay playing 2 in case 1 gets hit. I can go for the second one. But at the same time, like, my play is the same, except I just also get this card for free. So, like, why try to draw it? You know what I mean? So, I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at right now. It just has that same feeling and role to me as Dive does. Into the in-archetype, like, kind of just searchables, I would call them. Like, not full-on bricks. I guess Hellbore is the biggest brick here. These are just settable and, like, they work. Cool. But Hellbore, I mean, she can summon herself from grave by tributing a plant. And she can protect a recon field from a targeting monster effect, which is fine, but like not super necessary. The whole reason for her is another level 8, kind of like how you play Primula with the Snow Princess. You play this because you need another level 8 to be able to search with your Snowdrop. And then Snowdrop pulls them both out onto the field. She's the only one you like really don't want to draw really at all. But like if you can get to Snowdrop, you can make it okay. It doesn't really matter. So yeah, she's fine. Then Sheet's still a really good interruption. Not sure if it's a mandatory 2 of. It's probably a mandatory 1 of, but I'm opting to play 2. I just like it. This deck likes to grind, so grabbing these is really good turn after turn. And then Tranquility. These cards also become way better now because we can like tribute an opponent's monster to then negate and steal a monster. So it's like negate a monster to like Widow Anchor your opponent. And then this is like tribute an opponent's monster to reborn like 2 plants from grave. So like double Call of the Haunted while tributing an opponent's monster while cone's up. Absolutely insane. Again, I love it when they make new support cards that make like other cards in the deck way better. Into the hand traps, nothing too crazy here except for one thing. We got the triple Ash, nothing crazy there. Triple Gamma, maybe a little strange, and then triple Imperm. These are standard, but Gamma's really interesting. The main thing is that like whether it's something like Lone Fire Blossom being really weak to Ash, or Glamour being weak to Ash, or Prosperity digging you for like side deck cards, whatever, this card can just straight up save your keister so hard. And also you have stuff like Mudon who tributes a monster to do something. Glamour tributes a monster to like search 2. That's like prime negation targets. So like having something like Gamma to also be like a defensive card in those situations can also be really good. You just need to be wary about like when you lock yourself out of summoning anything but plants. But as long as you're good there, like this card can be so crazy at like not only going second and being like one of the strongest hand traps in the game, but also protecting your plays. Then for quick plays, Cyclone and Called By. This is mostly just a Mystic Mine out. The deck doesn't really naturally play one, so having something there is cool. This actually came up clutch versus Tier today. And then Called. It's Called. Again, you got to stop Ash on Lone Fire. You got to stop, you know, other inopportune hand traps when you can. Definitely a must play in this deck. And then finish up with 2 Rivalry. This card's like really good in the format. When you, specifically this format, obviously this can come out depending on the format we're in and if it's good or not. But this deck doesn't care about this, and the fact that this just locks like either Tier or Splight into their natural type is just so good, because those are decks that their engine's like decent, but like they don't get out of engine, and they need those out of engine cards to actually get to some powerful stuff. So really good there. So that's it. 40 in the main. We talked about all that. Into the extra deck. Strenna is insane. It's so much better now than it was. It gets you an add back for follow-up or extension, depending on the situation. And also then gets you an interruption, because you're usually always making this with your Snow Princess or your Rikka Princess. So you'll detach her to like get an add back, and then she's engraved as a monster negate to tribute the Strenna, which will then get you either one of your 2 main targets, your Teardrop or your Sacred Beast Hyperiton. Sorry again about the proxies here. But the quick tribute, absolutely insane. Not that great versus Tier, because this is like the only effect in the deck that tributes as effect instead of cost, so it does trigger all their stuff, but still a really good boss monster nonetheless. Super expensive. Please give us a reprint in Magnificent Mavens, Konami. And then Tree Beast. He comes up. He's a monster negate on the opponent's. It's actually a negate for whatever material is equipped to him, but sometimes it's kind of roundabout to get a spell or trap on him. So usually he's a monster negate. But like in those instances versus like Tier, this can be better than the Teardrop. So definitely worth playing. One Kanzashi, she mainly comes up for like extension to try and kill your opponent, because if a monster is tributed, she can attach a material to just like target any monster in either grave and special summon it with its effects negated. So you can just reborn a big body and just go to town. Also, if a plant monster you control would be destroyed by card effect, you can tribute a plant from your hand or field instead. So also gives you some nice protection there. It's fine. It doesn't come up all the time, but Mudon plus like Snowdrop can get it out. And then one Zeus. It's an XZ deck. I don't expect this to come up all that often just because Petal locks you into plants, but people are negating Petal all the time, so potentially extending through a Petal and into any XZ could make this card like a game saver. Then one Jasmine. Being able to just like tribute a plant to summon the right one out of the deck can maybe save your Heine. Double Dance Peony for the Sylvan guy. This card comes up more than you want it to, but man, just excavating 3 and summoning any plants you reveal off of it is so good, especially if you like haven't used a Rikka Petal that turn or a Mudon, and you're just able to hit one of those 2. That can be so good for sure. And it doesn't even negate the monster it summons, so definitely comes up, but usually a prosperity target if not. Then Dryas, just get it clearing a plant and getting it into grave. Nothing crazy there. You just use it to kind of link climb. And then Bengal Answer. Again, not a card I don't expect to ever really come up all that often, but like I guess in a dire situation where you just have a lot of plant bodies, maybe you're doing something like Kanzashi to steal something for your opponent, you've sheeted to steal something from your opponent, and then you just had something else, like maybe you could climb up into him and apply extra pressure with him. It's pretty cool. I just like the card. And then finishing up here with our Gamma targets. If we can get to Omega, if we can Gamma on our turn going first, we want to rip another card with Omega. But if not, and we're going second, we just want to wipe their board and kill them using Scarlight. So either way they come up, if you can just resolve Gamma on your turn. And I like that a lot. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the explanations there. I guess from here we can jump into the quick little combo tutorial. All right, guys, for the combo tutorial, I'm going to be showing you the 1-card combo with Petal. There's 2 main lines you're going to go for going first here, and I'm going to kind of give you a little lowdown on which ways you can go for. So obviously we're going to start by normaling Petal. We're going to use her effect and go ahead and search a monster. From this situation, you kind of just have to go ahead and get yourself a Mudon. She's the best one to grab here. We'll use Mudon's effect, tributing Petal for cost. To summon herself. On summon, she's going to use her effect to search a Rikka spell or trap. In this instance, we're always getting Kon first. Just one of those things, like why not get Kon, because it's adding so much to your board. We'll activate the Kon, then we'll use its effect to go ahead and set another spell or trap. And if you want, you can literally just end your turn by going for Sheet, but just keeping in mind, like, oh, with Sheet here, not only is this a quick tribute on my opponent's turn to like tribute their monster, to then target another monster and negate and steal it. So this is literally like removing 2 monsters from your opponent's field at the same time, as well as we have Petal coming back and we get to keep Mudon and have Kon on the field for another set next turn. So that's like the super simple way to do about it, but let's go into the actual like more extended version where we actually end up setting our Glamour. Right, then we use Glamour's effect, tributing the Mudon, and we'll search 2 monsters here. So we're actually going to grab our 2 level 4 extenders, 1 Princess and 1 Primula. Primula is going to trigger in a new chain link because a monster was tributed. She'll summon herself. Then we'll just use Princess's effect to jump on field. We will overlay these 2 for our awesome rank 4 Strenna. Then we'll use Strenna. Detaching Princess has to be Princess here. This is super important. There to add a card back, we're just going to grab the Glamour because Petal's bringing herself back anyway, and Mudon Engrave is like totally fine. I think Glamour's definitely the best choice here. And then we're going to pass turn. I know it looks pretty unassuming, pretty unimpressive, but at the end of the day, it's actually quite good because I'd actually summon this in defense mode. If our opponent activates any monster effect, we can Princess negate it in grave, which will then summon herself, or I'm sorry, not summon herself, shuffle herself back and tribute the Strenna if you want to then to negate. Then when Strenna is tributed, she's going to trigger to summon an Exceed, a Plan Exceed from our deck, our extra deck, and equip herself as material. You're either going to go for Teardrop or Sacred Tree Beast here. Sometimes I like to go for Tree Beast because if you give Teardrop 1 material, she has 1 tribute, and that's it. Then she's done being like really good for you, aside from just being like a tributable body or a beater, right? So sometimes I like to go for Hyperion because he's going to like restock his materials as the turns go on. So that's like double monster negate or a monster negate into a tribute. Or another thing is you don't even have to tribute the Strenna because you could have tributed your opponent's monster instead. So there's a lot of ways you can go about it using Kon to tribute your opponent's stuff. It's all like this. You all have to decide everything that's going on like in the duel, which route is the best way at any given time. But still pretty powerful stuff off of just 1 card. Again, even in that route, you have like the Petal coming back, Kon for another set next turn, and the Glamour in hand. So even better follow-up going that line. So really strong. All right, so that was our quick 1-card combo to kind of show you how much value you can get off of 1 card in this deck, but also just a great place to start. Obviously, when you get 2-3 cards in hand, you can obviously end on a lot more, but that's a great baseline to start with. Now we're going to do a quick test hand to finish out our showcase of this deck. We're going to start with our 5-card hand. We got a starter and rivalry. There's Gamma, there's Glamour, there's Prosperity. This hand is actually really good. In fact, Gamma's almost a little bit dead in this hand, but it's fine because like Glamour's going to help us play right through really nicely. I'm honestly going to hold the Prosperity because I just like don't care. So let's go normal summon Petal here to start. We're going to go Petal effect. And you know what? Just for the sake of it, let's say Petal gets hand trapped here. I don't care what it is. Like Gamma's not going to work because we have a monster on field. But let's say we get impermed here, right? So I can then go immediately for Glamour. Or I'm sorry, yeah, Glamour. Tributing. Ooh, what do we want to do here? I guess before we do that, so let's say if we get impermed, we're probably going to fire the Prosperity first. Let's banish our 6. It's probably just going to be most of the Link monsters, to be honest. Kanzashi usually, maybe the second Tree Beast, and Bengal Lancer. Just don't expect those to come up outside of like really rare games. So we will dig 6 deep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So kind of, you know, nothing too crazy. Our main options here are like Princess, Ash, and Sheet. She's not bad because we already have ways to play through this. So this does like already guarantee us like ways to keep going. But I do really want to get to Mudon because Mudon gets me to Con, which is the interesting part here. But I'm kind of not in the best scenario to get to Mudon, unfortunately. Let's see. I'm not going to grab Princess because I think Glamour's going to need to grab Princess here at the end of the day. So I'm actually going to just grab Sheet. I think Sheet's probably my best option here. Not ideal, but like if we had found Mudon, like we would have been cooking, but that's okay. We're still going to be pretty good off here. So we're going to go for Glamour. We're going to tribute the Petal, and we're going to search 2. We're going to search the Rikka Princess along with our Primula. Primula is going to trigger to summon herself out. Then we're just going to summon Princess right next to her. We'll overlay for our Strenna. We'll detach the Rikka Princess. And we will add back the Glamour. So we've already got really good follow-up here in the form of like Petal plus Glamour at the very least. But from here, we're not going to do anything crazy. We're going to set 2 and we're going to pass turn. But this is actually a really, really deceivingly powerful board. We have things such as Rikka Sheet as interruption, as well as Rivalry of Warlords, as well as Rikka Princess. And if all else fails, we still have Gamma. So if our opponent like does all this stuff, and what I like about this deck with Gamma too is like we're never setting up anything crazy. Most of the time we have 1 monster on field on our opponent's turn. So if they clear that 1 monster, Gamma is now live to wreck their booty cheeks. So really, really strong at the end of the day. I'm going to count this as 5 separate interruptions, although it's not always that. Maybe not 5, maybe 4, right? Because 1, 2, no, because this will count as a 5th. Once we tribute it, it's going to bring out either the Hyperiton or the Teardrop, which will work. So we'll say 5 interruptions, and then as follow-up, we've got obviously Petal coming back. We've got the Glamour for next turn, and we're going to draw for turn. So I am not mad at all in the slightest. This is a great example. And also keep in mind, this was through 1 hand trap. If we did not get hand trapped there, our board would be even better. We probably would have also ended on like a Con and maybe even the rank 8 Teardrop with 2 materials on it, which just makes it even crazier. Everything we did here. So really, really cool. Hopefully that's a great little test example of what you can see in your hand and how to play it out, and even through an interruption. That is going to end it out for us here today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. As always, like I said at the beginning of the video, subscribe if you want to see more deck profiles and just overall Yu-Gi-Oh content from your boy down the line. Very much appreciated. But other than that, I'm out of here. Let me know your thoughts down below on the list. What would you edit just for your personal version? This is pure Rikka, by the way. I might look at Sun Avalon version later on, but I'd still be curious to hear your guys' thoughts on that because I'm just one guy building out here because it seems like nobody's really that interested in pure Rikka, but they should be. This deck can top a regional, I promise. But I'm out of here. Peace.